Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Jim Beckwith reporting here at End Times Prophecy News. From Gateway Pundit, the slam has hit California. Police enforced quarantine hits California neighborhood. Residents ordered to stay inside due to coronavirus. In Rocklin, California, Sacramento police ordered all residents in a California neighborhood to stay inside on Thursday due to a coronavirus death in the area. And it's amazing because a little over 3 years ago, I used to live 10 miles from Rocklin. The local health department issued a statement after the police presence in the area. This is a frightening development. WIBW reported Sacramento County Sheriff's deputies and Rocklin police, some wearing protective gloves, converged on a residential street Thursday as the sheriff's helicopter circled overhead, ordering people to get inside. It was later learned that the first California coronavirus patient to die from the illness lived on this block. The Placer County Health Department issued a brief statement shortly after the police presence, stating, "Law enforcement partners are currently responding to enforce a health officer's order. We cannot share any additional information to protect patient confidentiality." The orders were given under sections of California Health and Safety Code that allows Placer Health to enforce regulations requiring strict isolation or quarantine if the action is necessary for the protection of the public health. Very interesting, because California and Washington are hit the hardest on this coronavirus, as we know right now, especially Washington. Washington didn't test a bunch of people that were brought there from that ship. And then we have the ship, I think they call the Crown Princess or something like that, cruise ship entering San Francisco. You can see it on the news today. And I think it's like 21 or 19 coronavirus patients are on that ship and have been infected, and it will stay quarantined, and everyone will be tested according to the Trump administration. No one will be taken off the ship, and they all will be tested. It's going to be a quarantine in the ship. And so they're talking about that, how they're going to try and make it a quarantine on the ship and all that. For that Princess cruise ship that just entered San Francisco Bay. So we'll see what the CDC under Nancy Messonnier, who's sister of Rod Rosenstein, whose objective is to get more and more people infected, even though she says the opposite, because we know their plan. We know how they didn't test anyone in Washington. That's why Washington has the worst statistics of the coronavirus. We're going to be going over a bunch of news here. I already reported that one. I wanted to show. Yeah. Second up, referring to the coronavirus, Trump says he's a snake. President Trump hits back at Washington State Governor Inslee during a CDC presser. President Donald Trump hit back at Washington Governor Jay Inslee on Friday, calling the far-left state leader a snake. See, remember the story of Donald Trump telling you about the snake who bit me? Yeah, he tells a story about a woman who takes home a snake, and it was a poisonous snake, takes care of him, you know, and then all of a sudden the snake bites her and she dies. It's very fitting that he calls Governor Jay Inslee a snake who will bite you and die, because he let it spread all over Washington. But Trump called him a snake while talking to reporters during his visit to the Centers for Disease Control on Friday. Earlier in the week, Jay Inslee took a swipe at President Donald Trump and his coronavirus response. He says in a tweet, "I just received a call from Vice President Mike Pence thanking Washington State for our efforts to combat the coronavirus. I told him our work would be more successful if the Trump administration stuck to the science and told the truth." This was after President Trump shut down flights from the Wuhan area to the U.S. and saved countless lives, something no other political leader would have the guts to do. Oh, should we talk about Obama and what happened with the bubonic plague out of Africa? He never shut down any flights. We got lucky. God put a hedge around us. On Friday, while visiting the CDC in Atlanta, Georgia, President Trump was asked about Governor Inslee. Trump called him a snake. Rightfully.
And I like this stuff. You know, my uncle was a great person. He was at MIT. He taught at MIT for, I think, like a record number of years. He was a great super genius, Dr. John Trump. I like this stuff. I really get it. People are surprised that I understand it. Every one of these doctors said, how do you know so much about this? Maybe I have a natural ability. Maybe I should have done that instead of running for president. But you know what they've done is very incredible. I understand that whole world. I love that world. I really do. I love that world. And they should be given tremendous credit. And the whole, and I like this stuff. You know, my uncle.
Sorry about that.
World. Tremendous credit.
I just wanted to point out, look who that is. That's Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, who he supported instead of Doug Collins. Instead of Donald Trump's support for Doug Collins, Brian Kemp, governor of Georgia, is supporting Loeffler, this lady over here, who pretends to be a Trump supporter, pretends to be anti-abortionist or pro-life, but she's not. The money that she's donated for pro-choice proves it. She's a liar. And anyway, this is Brian Kemp right here, the governor of Georgia. And over here we have Alex Azar, who's headed up with Mike Pence this fight for coronavirus. This is perfect sense. Aaron Rupar says Trump smears Jay Inslee, governor of the state, at the heart of the coronavirus outbreak. He didn't smear him. It's a fact. He is a snake. Because Aaron Rupar is a leftist nutball globalist mainstream media idiot. That's all he is. Washington State has been hit with the hardest in the U.S., with 79 cases reported and 14 confirmed deaths out of the total of 17 total U.S. deaths. All right, so we're going to move off of the coronavirus, but you need to understand one thing, folks. I've already said this. Trump knows the CDC, and he knows that these bad Democrat places are allowing the coronavirus to spread, and the CDC is. That's why he's grabbing a hold of the reins of the horse and running it with Mike Pence and Alex Azar. And they got it more under control now. He trusted them at first. Then he realized they failed. He's not really broadcasting that, except for today. He called someone a snake, didn't he? So I guess he is sort of broadcasting it in a way, huh? Okay, so at the border for illegal aliens, Trump is sending a crisis response force to the southern border. The Trump administration is deploying a crisis response military unit to the southern border with Mexico. The move was made this week due to the uncertainty over the coronavirus and its key asylum process. And there is an awful lot of Chinese. There was a report, I think it was 2 days ago, 328 Chinese crossing the border, southern border, were stopped. Yeah. There's all kinds of Chinese that are fleeing China right now. And they're going into all kinds of countries, and many of them have the coronavirus. President Trump is sending out 160 troops from Louisiana to the southern border because he already knows this as well. He has very good intel. The Trump administration is deploying troops to the southern border as a result of uncertainty over the future of one of its key asylum policies, U.S. Customs and Border Protection announced Friday. Last week, a federal appeals court blocked the so-called Remain in Mexico policy, which I reported on, which requires migrants to wait in Mexico until their court date in the U.S. Following the ruling, groups amassed at some locations along the border, but while the ruling has been temporarily paused, senior agency officials told reporters Friday that last week's events prompted concerns about personnel safety, like the 328 Chinese that many of them could have the coronavirus that they stopped. Several ports of entry were closed or partially closed last week. Based on the pending decision, continued concern of large groups of attempting to forcibly enter through ports of entry and COVID-19 containment and mitigation concerns, CBP has activated the crisis response force, the officials said. As a result, the Defense Department is deploying its crisis response force in support of CBP. Approximately 160 active duty personnel will be shifted from their standby location in Louisiana to the southern border. And 2 years ago today, Trump campaign manager Pascal warned Facebook on censorship. Since then, Facebook has wiped out conservative content. He said, "We are watching you." 2 years later, "We are still watching you and doing nothing." Really? That about sums up that report. And then there's the Justice Department hits back after judge slams Attorney General Barr. Now, I reported this yesterday. They ordered the DOJ to turn over unredacted Mueller report. This crazy nutback leftist judge named Reggie B. Walton. Okay, so here is the response, direct from AG Barr. It's methodical. It's peaceful. It won't create havoc like the Democrats keep doing. It won't create a war or martial law because they want martial law. Mike Adams, who works with Alex Jones, on their show, he's always pushing that there's going to be martial law. Well, he predicted there was going to be martial law a year ago. It never happened. I even reported on it, and I fell into that belief that it could very well possibly happen. But you know what? Trump's way ahead of the game, isn't he? You see, if we go into a martial law, wouldn't it be easy for the Democrats to in the Senate to impeach Trump for abuse of power by implementing martial law? You got it. And the House has already given him that articles of impeachment, and he is passed through the House as impeached under abuse of power. You see? So, and not only that, but that's a lose for any country to be under martial law. It's easy for the Dems and all the people to believe that Donald Trump is a dictator if there's martial law, right? So we're going to stay peaceful, calm, methodical, truthful, honest. And this is how you defeat the wickedness from A.G. Barr. Yesterday afternoon, a district court issued an order on the narrow legal question of whether it should review the unredacted special counsel's confidential report to confirm the report had been appropriately redacted under the Freedom of Information Act. In the course of deciding that it would review the unredacted report, the court made a series of assertions about public statements the Attorney General made nearly a year ago. The court's assertions were in the public report the court's assertions were contrary to the facts. The original redactions in the public report were made by department attorneys in consultation with senior members of Special Counsel Mueller's team, prosecutors in U.S. attorneys' offices, and members of the intelligence community. In response to FOIA requests, the entire report was then reviewed by career attorneys, including different career attorneys with expertise in FOIA cases, a process in which the Attorney General played no role. But this nutbag judge over here, Reggie B. Walton, said, "You're lying." You see what A.G. Barr is doing here methodically? He's letting you know, are you going to say that all these people and all these agencies are liars too? Doesn't work, does it? he kind of turned it into a nothing burger, didn't he? You see? He didn't need to say, I don't obey you. He didn't need to say that. No, he went about it very professionally, methodically, and disassembled his fake accusation. You notice he doesn't even answer that he's going to give him the unredacted version, which only, as I put out yesterday, protects the safety of the grand jury. There is no basis, he continues, to question the work or good faith of any of these career department lawyers. The department stands by their work, as well as the Attorney General's statements and efforts to provide as much transparency as possible in connection with the special counsel's confidential report. Okay. So what does that make of Reggie B. Walton, the district judge? A complete fool. And you know what? It doesn't matter what you say about A.G. Barr. It doesn't matter what side you're on. If you're you would have to prove that all these different people working underneath and everywhere around who are even bipartisan are all liars as well. Wouldn't you? Yes, you would. So he just turned it into a nothing burger. And that's how you take down the deep state and their tactics. Sorry for the volume problem. I didn't realize that my audio volume was too high. But thank you for listening. That'll be all for today. May the Lord bless.